Good morning, everyone. Hello. That's a new short intro.
You got
That's right. Ashley warned us that she did a new intro and it was only, 12 seconds or 15 seconds. So that was,
Oh, she did. Oh, I didn't see that.
she did say that, but I didn't
It seemed
recall.
shorter to me. Yeah.
Let's get right down to business.
Let's get right down to business. They know we go on for an hour and a half, so let's trim as little.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they trying to say something to us?
I don't know.
How's everyone? How are you doing? Good morning.
Morning,
Wherever
everyone.
you are.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. We're doing
So
well
we have
here.
more guests again today. So this is very exciting. John is here, John Keith and Haley Hillier. So we didn't have any special guests last week for profiles or guest of the week, member of the week. So we doubled up on this week. So
yes, someone forgot to invite Haley. That was me.
Okay.
But she couldn't anyway because she was traveling. So
yes.
Yeah. So now we have a double guest. Asher always says the more the merrier. So we're merrier. So
we're very merry today.
Well, I'm excited here anyway. So.
Well, thank you for coming. Please tell us where are you from, or where are you right now?
Well, so my name is Haley. I live in Utah. I have lived here basically all of my life. I guess, what else do you want to know about me? I don't know what to say.
Well, probably many of us are thinking, oh, she lives in Utah. Maybe I could ask for something from the family search library.
I kind of don't take advantage of it. I live about 30 minutes away, and I probably go once a year. So
only once a year.
Wow. When you're close, it's just kind of one of those things that but I gather it all up in like one big cluster, and then I go. But I'm gonna make it a goal to go a little bit more because I think it will be helpful to me. Other researchers as well. I'll grab stuff for people when I'm there. So
now, were you at Roots Tech this year?
I did attend, so I stopped by the booth, but I didn't really say anything because I was just like, I don't know. I just barely moved into the role of being the admin of the Genealogy Discord, so I was just feeling a little bit like, gotta take it in, and then I'll step up and kind of introduce myself to people and do that more. But yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And what about you, John? Where are you right now? Where do you live?
Right now, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I didn't begin life here, but I've lived here in Oregon area for probably 55 years, something like that. So most of my life here.
Wow.
But I was actually born in Boston. And my dad was a Coast Guard commander, so we were stationed all over the place.
Wow.
Which is how we ended up in the West Coast here.
Wow! And again, we have a coincidence with our theme for the profile makeover of the month, which is the sea.
The sea.
Yeah.
The sea.
Wow.
You've gone from one sea to the other.
Indeed. I've seen the seas.
Seen the seas. Nice.
Yes, and your father's profile would be a great makeover for this.
I'll have to tune it up a little bit.
Yeah, there's always something we could improve. So please let us know what brought you to WikiTree. How did you become genealogist? Something about your story with genealogy.
Do you want me to go first again? I can do that.
Please.
Yeah. So basically, here in Utah, genealogy is like a big part of like how things are. People talk about it a lot. But I have really, really, really short generations in my tree. A lot of people kind of make jokes about it. But I knew most of my grandparents, great-grandparents, and I even had a second great-grandmother alive till 2014. So I had a lot of grandparents and people alive in my life that would tell me stories, and I loved to just hear them and listen to them. And I'd always ask, just all kinds of things about them. And I think it was back in 2021, 2020, sometime around that time. I have a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So basically, I wasn't feeling too hot at the time. So I tried to find an online community where I could still do things, still have some fun, I guess. So I joined the Genealogy Discord. It's not the WikiTree one, but one separate from that. And the members there were super welcoming. They taught me a lot of things. When I first joined, I was one of those people that's like hints and, all that kind of stuff. And so they taught me how to properly source and do all that. And then a lot of the users there also were WikiTree members. So they said, hey, there's this other community. I think you might like it. It's similar to the family search tree, but a little bit more sourced and a little bit more accurate. So I joined and I've been on WikiTree ever since. So.
Oh, great. So you're like or maybe you could be like an ambassador of WikiTree with that community.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yep.
And what about you, John? How did you became interested?
Well, my dad did some work. I think I have it here. Somewhere in my little right here next to me. The old school way. So he did his project in old genealogy style. And he wanted to do sort of the research on the Scottish side. So, and that was some years ago. What he ended up doing was he traveled around. He went to all parts of not the world, but the U.S. where the family came in through the that sort of Scots-Irish immigration, and he produced this lengthy report with stories of the family, stories of the. He did his like own personal one name study, if you will, sort of, and anyway, then he handed them all out to all the kids, and it was sort of a big deal for him, and so that sort of piqued my interest. And he did a great job, but he was pretty mono-focused on his surname, right? And I got to wondering about what about the rest of the family, and so that started me on my own sort of how to kind of fill in the picture a little bit more. And so I did what a lot of people do. I did a lot of work over on Ancestry and to start the ball rolling because there's it's an easy entry into things, and it's kind of it's a little bit of a lonely work doing genealogy by yourself in your own silo. I find Ancestry is a one-person game. Usually, you're just in. It's fine. There's a lot of good source. I like for source work, but some of the trees are a little bit unsourced. They're just sourced from other people's trees. So it's and then sort of I kind of did that for a while. Then roll forward and my aunt Kathy. We just sort of got connected, and she said, "Hey, have you heard of WikiTree? Your Uncle Dennis, all his work is our cousin Ray, taking all Uncle Dennis's work, which is all done in PDF files and so forth, and actually took those PDF files, which were well sourced, and put all that side of the family tree up on WikiTree, which I hadn't heard of. So I was pulled in by." People who had gone before me, and like I think I may have mentioned in my little member interview, it was so tremendous to find when I got there so much great work done. I think probably a lot of people have that where you get there and you're like, wait a second, why is my family here already? And it's like, and then you sort of connect to the community and go, wow, there are a lot of people working together on one thing, so it's not a lonely sport any longer, and it's very supportive. A surprisingly nice group of people.
Surprising.
Well, when you join an online community, you're never quite sure what the vibe's going to be, but it's got a great vibe.
You could find right.
Yeah.
And you were so lucky to have all that info, all that work already done.
Right. So that's that's kind of how it works, I think. Right. In any given generation, there are some one or two people who kind of get the bug and do a lot of the work, like my dad did, and my uncle on the other side did that. So, So it's great. That's what drew me into genealogy and WikiTree in particular.
That's great. That's great. So maybe I don't know, Greg. Now that we know a little about our guests, shall we say hello to Betsy and
Yes.
to our audience? Hi,
Right. She
Betsy.
just sort of creeps in, doesn't try to interrupt the conversation. How are you, Betsy?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
We're doing well.
Great, great.
Good.
Look, we
Mhm.
have two guests today.
Mhm.
No, it's a double header. Very
Double-
exciting. Hi, Hillary. Hi, John.
Hello.
Yeah, and shall we say hi to the audience?
Yes, I was thinking we had dived into, but we should say hi to everyone who is here, joining us live, and those who watch us afterwards on repeat on demand. So it looks like Murray wins the prize for the first one in this morning from Collingwood, Ontario. And then Ozzy has joined us. It's pitch black where she was. Oh, because it was 11:23. That would make sense on tomorrow. Hillary from Wales is here. She was third in this as opposed to the first one in this morning. Dee is here. Let's see, Rick Leland, also from Ontario. Judy Stutz. Hey there, Judy. Victor, good time zone, everyone. Always says that, which is great. Evelyn Jester. Evelyn's here. Also Tia, John Tyner from Ireland. It was nice of John to join with Patty Waldron for the reveal this week, the WikiTree challenge reveal for Morris Gleason's challenge. That was a nice get together there. Chris Ferriolo, how you doing? And yes, keep those spoilers to yourself, Chris. I don't want to be spoiled for the Doctor Who finale. Yes, thank you for teasing me, but not spoiling. Okay, Susie Card is here. Excellent. Holly, Doris Lanier is here. Let's see, David Dodd. Hey there, David. How are you? And there's the aforementioned Patty Waldron also from Ireland. Argo Fraster. Let's go, Liddy. I'm not sure who.
That's me. That's how I go. That's my username on the Genealogy Discord. So that's one of my people.
Is it?
Hey.
Okay.
Hi there.
Okay. And Terry Burks from Columbus, Ohio is here. Bonnie Dragon Cat. That's a very cool name. Bonnie Dragon. And let's see, we're getting to the end of the list, I think. So. Oh, Nawaf Albash says hello as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, we have new people, so maybe they're your friends, Haley from the Discord.
I think they are. We've got a really good community and lots of support over there. So they like to support me.
Yay, great.
Yep.
Yeah. So well, I have some questions for you about your interview of members of the week. Please let us know, what do you spend most of your time on WikiTree, or what are your favorite features? Haley.
I spend most of my time on WikiTree. I was really, really wanting to get my CC7 up really high for a really long time. So I did that for a little while. And then I kind of took a little bit of a WikiTree break for a little bit because of just some things that were going on. But I am planning on this year making my profiles look pretty. I've got quite a few profiles that I've got pictures and information and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm planning to do. That's what I have done. And then I'm planning to be more active in the data doctors and the LDS projects, which I'm a part of. So.
Yes, and also you were captain of a new team.
Yes, I was captain of the Discord detectives, and I think we killed it. I think we did so good. We're planning on participating in more thons and stuff like that. We'll
amazing.
See what we do next, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah, how many people did you have in your team again? It was a good size, right? I
think it was 30, around 30 probably. It was in the upper bracket. I can't remember exactly how many people we had, but it was a good size. So
fantastic.
We were excited about the amount of people that joined and participated as well. So
great work. And what about you, John? What are your favorite features of WikiTree?
Yeah, favorite features for me are connections and relationships. It's one of the superpowers of WikiTree, as far as I'm concerned. It's great, and you can not just see the relationships, but you can see how strong they are, whether they're confident, DNA sourced, or whatever. It's really great, and I meet a lot of people. Like you'll hit people's profile and see that we are in fact connected or related. Like there's so many different people, and I just find that stunningly fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I also did a lot of work on CC7. I think CC7 is a good motivator for a while to kind of pull you in and do stuff, and it's a great way to kind of push you to explore parts of your family and not just your tree, but some of the branches. I find that's good. I spent a lot of time with WikiTree suggestions, fixing stuff.
Great.
Like daily. I'm daily. Starting on different profiles and like what's going on from this perspective, and then just little stuff, right? Date of birth locations, merges, just a lot of corrective action. I'm a computer science background, so I like things to be complete and correct.
Yeah.
Not obsessively so, but I just have an eye. If I see something that's a little off, I have to dig into it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I bet you're a problem solver. You love to solve mysteries.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do for a living.
I'm
still working. I solve problems.
That's interesting.
Arcane, annoying problems. Root cause, we call it, getting down to root cause. That's which is similar. Yes, very much. And very similar to getting to, is this a sourced profile? What is the root source? It's very similar to root cause. Like, can I, what's true here for me?
And do you ever join challenges?
I haven't joined the challenges. I watch what the challenges are and I sort of play along in my own sort of thing, just because I time-wise, my time isn't always mine to choose. I have teenage daughter and family and mother support, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot going on in this house.
A life, basically. You have a life.
A lot of life happening. Yeah, right. But WikiTree, like I kind of sign on. I got to go to WikiTree every morning. All right, what's going on today? And it's sort of my daily check-in.
Nice.
Yeah. I bet you would like to play some mystery box and connection checkers.
Yes.
Yeah. Since you like to check your connections with the other people and solve things, connection checkers is a great way to do that.
Yeah, no, I'm completely interested. I do spend some time on Discord, different things, hanging out in tech chat, what's just going on, pretty much on that, being a sort of tech guy.
That's great. And what about you, Haley? Do you participate in any other challenges?
I haven't lately. Like I said, I've been super busy. I think I mentioned it to you guys. They recently made me the owner of the other genealogy Discord, so I've been really, really busy with that kind of stuff. But I do plan on doing more in the future once things kind of settle down from the change and all kinds of stuff that's been going on lately. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And what would be your tip, Haley, for other people to inspire them to join WikiTree, since you know these other communities? What would you tell them about WikiTree?
Well, I always like to say that like collaboration is the only way to do genealogy. I think as John was saying earlier, it can be lonely. It can be when you're just doing it by yourself, it's not quite as fun. You get a little bored. I think I mentioned that in my interview that genealogy would be boring without friends. So I would just say it is a community and it is a place where you can find people with a like interest, and you'll have lots of fun. You'll have more fun than you do by yourself. So, yeah.
Great. Well, thanks. And what about you, John? How would you promote WikiTree?
Well, I'm trying to promote it to my cousins and whatnot. I'm trying to get people interested. I'm trying to find again those sort of people. In any community, you have a small number of people who do a lot of work, then a fewer number who do some work, and then a lot of people kind of watch. And so, I try to promote. Even my daughter and my sister is like, okay, well, why don't you? They actually have a counselor not active at the moment. So why don't you just like focus on the weekly email? It has the interesting themes, right? I mean, just sort of because it makes you see a different perspective on sort of the global tree, right?
Yeah.
I think people don't like to navel gaze often on their own genealogy, but when you start to see connected to the larger world and historical context, it gets interesting. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Like WikiTree is a great jumping off spot for doing a deep dive into history, basically the history of the time. And
Yes.
my wife does that a lot. She'll take the email and she'll use whatever the theme is, the papal theme or whatever theme it was, look at the connections, and then she'll go to profiles and check out backstory. So, I think to me, I think that's a good draw, and I would tell people about that. I do.
That's great. Yeah, we should have like a WikiTree family of the week, because your family would be one. They're they're all on WikiTree. I love you. I love you guys.
Yeah, right.
Great.
Exactly.
Okay, so we'll be wrapping up. I think you should open your profiles and check your connections with our popes for play connection checkers after a while. But now I'll show you the profile makeover of the week. I don't know if you guys have any questions for our guests.
Well, before Haley leaves, I definitely want to get to the profiles of the week, because I thought I recognized your name, Haley, and it's because of Pope Leo and something that you worked on specifically.
Yes.
So when we get to the profile, I want to get your take on that, because Haley was part of the team that solved the brick wall, which is very nice.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, very exciting.
Cool. I'll be excited to tell you about it.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah. We're looking forward for that.
So we've got a time, because you have to go by 1:45, right?
No, quarter to the next hour. So I think I'll be fine. Just keep going, and I'll probably be here the whole time. But
okay then.
Okay. Well, Haley, you wanted to beautify your profiles this year. This is your goal. So you would probably like the Profile Makeover Challenge, which we run every month. And every month we have a suggestion for a theme if you want to choose a profile of your ancestor or whatever person you like. So this month the theme is the sea, and I will present you with a beautiful makeover made by Dee, our friend Dee, who's in the chat today. So let me share my whole screen. Yes. She did the profile makeover. Oh, let me see this was the before picture. She made over the profile of her grandfather, her maternal grandfather, Milan Mihaljevic. I hope I'm saying it right. And he was born in Croatia, Yugoslavia, in 1898. And this was his before. He had his family and a short bio. Milan was an inspiration for Dee because he immigrated from Hungary to the United States through the sea, of course. So he got to Ellis Island. Is that right, the name? Ellis
Island. Yeah.
Ellis Island. Okay. So, and we have seen his profile like twice, I guess. We have seen pictures of his profile, because you would probably recognize the word Sokol. And this is the...
I remember.
Yes, you, Betsy, have showed us his pictures. So that's why, let me see if we can Do you recognize that photograph of the background from the background?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's probably what Milan would have seen coming from Ellis Island, right? The Statue of Liberty was
Statue of
was
Liberty.
there.
Yeah, I actually got to go to the Ellis Island Museum in October.
Oh,
Nice.
wow!
It's a really impressive
Very
museum.
nice. Yes. Wow. Well, really, Dee, you made a wonderful work. You brought us a beautiful biography with sections and subsections, which I love. And Dee found a book with photographs, an album. So she had a lot to say about her grandfather and to show us. Well, as I said, Milan emigrated from Hungary, and he was an orphan. He was also orphan from his mother and knew very little about his father. And he had two older brothers. One of them was in the United States before he immigrated, and he crossed the sea with his sister-in-law, and he made an interesting trip. He went from Hungary to the Netherlands with his ox and a cart.
Wow.
Imagine. Wow, wow.
That's a bit of a trek, isn't it?
Yes, imagine. And that poor ox, probably he sold it before he departed, because he departed from Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And
Would you have
well,
to cross the Alps to get there? Or aren't there mountains in the middle of Europe there you'd have to go through?
I'm not sure. Maybe he went around them, right?
Let's see. That poor ox, indeed.
I know. You will look for that. And well, and he became a US citizen. He lived all his life in Wisconsin. He had a beautiful life in America. Oh, well, look, this was his family, the Mihaljevic.
Oh.
And I assume because the photographs are so beautiful, we really need to see them. He became a part of the Sokol movement, which is a sports group that, well, it began as a sports group for young gymnasts, and then they taught about music, and they had educational programs. And in some countries, that movement was the precursor of the Scouts, the Boy Scouts.
Oh, interesting.
So we have these beautiful pictures of the Slavic Sokol in Wisconsin. And well, Milan found his love of his life with a Croatian woman, which was like a forbidden union for them at that time. And he married Teresa. I guess this was their wedding picture. Wow, that's amazing. And they had 3 children, and Alice is Dee's mother. She was born in 1928, and Milan became an American citizen at the age of 23 in 1921. And Dee brings this beautiful story where she combines the history of the moment, the Great Depression, what happened with their family. They had a barber shop.
Mhm.
And it's very similar to my grandfather, who came from Germany, and even the pictures are so alike. I'll show you then. I really felt identified with this, and she wrote such a sweet biography. Look at these pictures. They used to roast pigs in the backyard.
Oh,
And they had a beer hideaway. You can see they had a lot of fun. They had a beautiful life in the United States and had a great family. And she makes this. She made this section about his retirement, and he had a wonderful trip to Hawaii with friends, and he died peacefully with his family. And look at this. This couldn't be any sweeter. Together forever, having ice cream. It's such a beautiful profile, so sweet. and you can see there's a lot of love here, a lot of dashes of love. So thank you, Dee. I hope I made justice and honor to your grandfather, and you surely did. So thank you. Great work.
Love
Dee.
it.
And I hope to see you often in our section, because this is your first makeover.
Wow.
Well, I guess. So great work.
Yeah.
That
And
is
thank you.
great.
You still have time to participate, to join.
That's a really neat last name, Mihaljevic, because there was one of the great hockey players, Canadian hockey players of all time, was Frank Mihaljevic from the Montreal Canadiens. But he doesn't have a WikiTree profile, so I couldn't see if his roots were also, from Hungary.
Sure.
And and he passed?
I believe
Or is he?
so. I think so. Now, Murray might know more. I don't know if Murray, if you're a Habs fan or not. Or what
So
about
I'm sure.
Indians?
I'm sure he will have a profile by the end of the live.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. I knew he had a brother too, and I couldn't remember the brother's name. Pete Mihaljevic. Yes, Frank and Pete Mihaljevic.
Look at that.
Unless I spelled their name wrong when I did a search when I was, multitasking just now. But,
and Dee said he sold the ox, and they have its horns. Wow.
Oh wow.
I'm sure he was grateful.
Yeah, that's right.
That ox.
Well, I did find a map online that shows.
Let's see.
That shows the route, or at least a route they could have taken from Hungary to the Netherlands. And it looks, this map looks like it follows along, a fairly straight line, and straight-ish as rivers go, from the Rhine down through the Danube. So I suppose if the ox walked along the riverbank, then
probably
it would be fairly level, I guess. But that's going through Hungary, Austria, next to Germany, anyways. That's a lot of and through Germany. That's a long trip.
Amazing.
Wow.
What a story.
Yeah.
Well, great.
So you were talking about connections, right?
Yes, connection.
So one of the things that so if I'll just transition in. So I'm going to leapfrog in front of you, Betsy.
Go for it.
I just thought the transition was, the segue was kind of natural, because
too good to pass up.
Too good to pass up. And I mean, John's tip that the thing that he loves about WikiTree is the connections and related, the connection finder, the relation finder, all those sorts of things. And when we talk about the profiles of the week, we always start with the connections game, play the connection checkers game. So I played it last week with the profile, one of the Canadian profile of the week, which was Margaret Sinclair Trudeau Kemper. And I was able to check off all of the connections. The only one that on the connection checker that doesn't show the check mark is the marriage between Margaret and Pierre Elliott Trudeau, her husband. And I think part of that is that they're notables, and they actually were divorced. So I'm wondering if that's part of that logic was also part of the check mark. Because if you go to which is interesting, if you go to his profile, you see, his parents, his siblings, and his children. Well, two of his children, Justin, who was our former, most recent prime minister, and then the son who died tragically in an avalanche, actually, Michel. But the other son, there's a third son who is alive but not notable, so he's private. But his wife, Margaret, is marked as private. So that's Margaret Sinclair. But if you go to Justin, the son, both of his parents, you can get to her from him. So I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now she's still alive, so she is a private individual, but she's also movable. So, anyways, there's some interesting logic there.
Right. And if I can jump in, I found this just a little counterintuitive, and I'm going to say it in case anyone else was puzzled. When you go to, I mean, it's not counterintuitive, but to confirm a marriage, to get that check mark for a marriage,
Yes.
what you have to do is you have to look at the spouse on the profile, and then you'll see a hyperlink to edit the marriage.
Edit the marriage details, yes.
Yes, you click on that, and then within that field, there's a confident or not confident box, and you check that, and bingo.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I was adding a new marriage, you can say that the date is, you're confident about the date, you're confident about the place. Yeah. But when you're adding a new marriage for the first time, I didn't see the check mark for overall confidence of the whole event. So I had to go a second time to go to edit the marriage details, and then that gave me the radio button at the top that said,
"Okay,
confident."
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe that's been changed, but that's how I was adding a new marriage for something.
Yeah, I'll have to notice that next time I add a new marriage.
Yeah. But one thing I did do is I found Pierre Elliott Trudeau's. I found his actual birth record. It wasn't connected to his profile. I mean, he has a wonderful profile, and there's no question about all the genealogy facts in here. It wasn't like it was needed because there's lots of sources, but I was able to add his baptism record, which I thought was pretty cool. And indeed, his baptism, if we zoom in on it, he really was given, where is it here? He was given all of those names. Like he was baptized as Joseph Philippe Pierre Yves Elliott Trudeau. He didn't just collect them throughout his life. He was actually given all of those names at once. He was baptized, which is kind of wild. So that was my connection checkers from last week. And then I started to do the connection checkers game with Pope Leo for this week. And I got stuck with Marie-Louise Lemel from the German coast in Louisiana because I couldn't find any church records for her. So I was able to go back for myself till about, where was it? To Marie Carol, like I was about to here. And then there was a bunch of missing check marks. But now when I looked this morning, I realized, well, I still have this one person who wasn't unchecked, but almost every other one was already checked. So I'm reduced to having 8 check marks to fix to just the one.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So did you guys play connection checkers this week?
Yes. Well, I played it last week. Let's see, it was Famous Mothers. I was working on Abigail Adams, and because I started on, the game runs Tuesday to Tuesday, and I started it Saturday night, so I couldn't finish. So I started in fresh with hopes. I have a tie for my connections. I have the new Pope at 5 degrees, and then also Pope Leo X, Medici, also 25 degrees. And I meant to do the new Pope, but something must have, I clicked on the wrong link and I started working away, and it was Pope Leo X. So it's been, can I screen share?
You should, sure. I stopped so you could add yours.
Share screen, entire screen. So there I am. I have 4 check marks to go.
Oh,
yeah. So it took me through my Canadian family. And I've never really used the Druin records extensively, but they are amazing, those baptismal records. And along the way, I discovered, this was closer along to me, that there was a baby who was baptized, and I looked at the name of the minister, and I thought, wait a minute, that's my granduncle. And it turned out that he had baptized someone who would later marry his niece. And I got in touch with a cousin and I said, does this look like the name to you? And he said, absolutely. They, because his grandparents were parishioners, and that's how the marriage, the love, connection was eventually made about 25 years later.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, that was that. I love the coincidences like that. And that family in Canada came over from Scotland. And so I went through the Dalrymples and the Crichtons. And now I'm still in the Crichtons. And I'm going through the peerage, the Scotland Project approved peerage. Luckily, as nobility, they are earls, and so it's possible to find documentation of the lineage. But I'm getting close.
Yeah, I have a question, kind of related to what you were saying, Betsy.
Yeah.
What if you find a notable in your path?
Yeah,
because that's what happened to me, like from the 19th century. And you have no record of their birth, for instance, but they're notables and you have books with their biographies. Could you consider them verified?
I think what I would do personally, I don't know if I take the check without a real vital record, but I would maybe put in a research note and
that's a good idea.
Reference some of the secondary materials, and maybe those secondary materials would have a bit, like a list of footnotes, citations in there. So
probably, yeah.
I mean, if they're notable and they have, there's, even if you don't find a birth or a baptismal record, but there's lots of other records that are there documented,
right,
indicating the parent-child relationship. If that's the one that you're working on, then I think you could still say confident.
Because confident is confident.
Yeah.
So
we're pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or reasonable. Yeah. Now, people were not yelling at us. Well, one person was yelling at Ozzy was yelling at me in the chat. She was saying, and she mentioned this, and I think I did know this at one point, but I had forgotten it. And I guess because of the notability, I thought, well, maybe there's an exception. But notable or not, she reminded us, or told us for the first time, for those who didn't know this the first time, that marriages do not show if either person is living, whether they're notable or not. So even though Pierre was notable and has passed away, and Margaret is notable, she is still living. So that's why her marriage to him. But the parent-child relationship isn't that restrictive. Isn't the same. Doesn't follow those same rules. And Patty mentioned that the check mark for siblings, now he says it's counterintuitive, and I'm not sure if it's counterintuitive, but I guess it's the fact that you have both marked that you've got a competent parent, at least one common parent. So half siblings would work the same. If the parent you share, you both marked that parent-child relationship as confident, then you get the check mark for the sibling connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And also within the rules, it says connections through private profiles of living people and the recently deceased do not need to be verified for the purposes of the game.
For the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now, if you're obsessive anyways, and you just want to make sure
obsessive, I don't know what you're talking about.
And make them more accurate. We'll never say don't make them more accurate. Anyways,
I have to say it's a little addictive.
It is a bit.
I'm sitting there, fine. I'm like, just one more. Let's see. Let me set myself up for the next check that I'm going to get.
Yes, and if you get stuck, at some point, you can delete this person. I won't follow that path, and it recalculates a new path.
Oh,
so if you get a brick wall,
you can't find the record for it.
Yeah, you just click on the little X, and a new path is calculated.
Well, let's see what would happen if I did that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just see. Okay, we're in real life here. we're just exploring. So Louise Lamel.
Yeah.
If I X out her, well, that's interesting. I'm still 20 degrees. Woo! He's still my closest connection. And check. Oh, now Pierre Rivard. I bet you I can find. I bet you.
And now it's direct without any marriages in between.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, look at that. Yes, because he's a cousin. He's a direct cousin.
Ta-da!
Yeah, and you know what's really so this is kind of funny. I knew that he's an 8th cousin once removed, and which is funny. He's a cousin on my biological side, which is this one here, but he's also a cousin on my adoptive side, which through the Makaizik, because my adoptive mother's mother was a Bay, which was Bay from Montreal, and then eventually from back in France. So I emailed one of my cousins, my adoptive cousins, and saying that our mothers were 8th cousins to the Pope, and they would have really loved that. And so she there was a lot of fun chat back and forth. Oh, that's great. And then I got a message yesterday morning. She says, I might have taken it a bit too far. I gave my husband a papal blessing before he went to bed. So that was kind of funny. But that's pretty close. So, and Pierre, let's see. Oh, he's born in easy peasy. I'll be able to find the baptismal record for him. In fact, it may even already be on here. Yeah, he's already baptismal record. You're there. Okay.
Look at that.
Mark that confident fairly quickly, but we digress, surprisingly.
Wait, did we address so yeah, Patty says, I expect a sibling checkmark to mean both parents are confident. Yeah, so basically when I have a sibling, what I've been doing is making sure that sibling A has these 2 parents and sibling B has the same 2 parents.
Yes, that's exactly what I do too. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But the connection could be through a half sibling as well as a sibling, and you can't tell that from the connection chart. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I've been like writing out little questions for myself because sometimes I get lost in the path and I'm like, okay, now I am proving that so-and-so is the father of so-and-so.
Yes. And the thing that I've done is depending on where I'm going, I sometimes find it easier to reverse the view to see the direction you're going and what connection.
Yeah.
So depending on which way you're going, I hit that reverse view often. But anyways, so how close are you? So for me, I think I'd already mentioned that the current Pope is the closest for me. He's only 20 degrees away, and then the rest go as high as 33. So what about you? What's your closest?
Sorry, I have my 2 closest are 25.
25, and both Leo. You've got both Leos, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then the farthest is 34, Pope Victor II.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a tie for the closest.
Mm-hmm.
I have three popes with 21 degrees.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alexander VII, Pius VII, and Urban VIII.
What about you,
Greg? Sorry, I was just wanted to remind you that Haley has to leave soon.
Actually,
and we have something.
Not soon. It's the next. It's 10:45.
The next hour.
Oh yeah, the next hour. I was just making sure you guys knew that if it went way, like I said, I'll be here for most.
That's right. So that's why I'm trying to get to Leo as quick as possible. But right, we have a whole hour.
My email to see my connections because, as you've mentioned, I've been a little bit too busy to look at the connections this week. So let me look here. Sorry, I'm pulling up the email. So if someone else wants to talk about their connections, that would be great.
Who's your closest of the popes?
Pope Leo XIV.
There we go. Okay.
18 degrees.
18. Ooh.
That's close.
Yeah.
And are you a cousin? A direct cousin?
No, that's through one marriage.
Oh,
So not a cousin.
not a
I have a
cousin.
cousin. I have a cousin to who did I look at last week? Excuse me for a second. I believe. Oh, that 25th and 26th degrees on like I don't know. A couple of them are cousins, but they're uncles or something like that. Basically,
Oh, neat. A great uncle.
25th great uncle, 26th. There were two of them that I had.
Oh,
That
that's
way.
interesting. Neat.
So you're back, and all of a sudden, 1,050, 80.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. I think I had one like that too. Uh-huh.
It says my closest connection is 23 degrees from the new pope as well, but there's some research that I think I could probably get that closer with adding some of the new stuff we found. So.
Oh, neat.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, let's just jump right into Pope Leo. Pope Leo the 14th, born as John. Where are we here? Robert Francis Prevost. Born 14th December 1955, Mercy Hospital in Chicago. Yes, the very first American-born Pope. Just freshly elected as Pope Leo the 14th. His father, Louis Marius Prevost, was a United States Navy veteran of World War II, served as superintendent, and he was the youngest. The Pope is the youngest of three sons, two older brothers. One of the older brothers has done lots of interviews, which is kind of neat. And there was a YouTube video with him, when he was his brother, the Pope, was phoning while he was being interviewed. It's very, very cool. Now, what's really interesting, genealogical. So, I mean, there's been lots of coverage about the new Pope, especially in North America, because he's the first North American Pope. He's also, there's lots of unique things about him. He's also the first one who is a Peruvian citizen. So there's a South American connection as well, and has French and Italian background. So very multicultural. So there's lots of connections between all of us here and the new Pope in that regard. But genealogically speaking, what's really cool is that he had a brick wall. When he was first elected, I went onto his WikiTree profile, and it had been created. I don't know if it was there before, but it appeared fairly shortly thereafter. We could go into the history. Let's go to the profile change history and see where it was created on the 8th of May. Talk about a new profile that has gone from 0 to hero. There we go. Was created. W Anonymous created it, and then David Randall, of course, part of the manager for the Notables project, worked with him there. Lots of people working there. When he was first there was a brick wall with his last name, and then his last name was French Canadian. So I thought I can help. I can find where he came, because from Quebec. I'm really good at finding those records, but turns out there was a bit more of a mystery there. And one of the people who solved that mystery was the Genealogy Discord, which I thought at first when I read about that was our Discord server, but it wasn't. It's a different one that Haley knows a little bit about. So Haley, you want to take over the story from here and tell us?
Yeah, so we initially heard about the brick wall, and we were just like, oh, let's just look, let's do some fun research. So we started to just look into the records, look into the here. I have some notes pulled up on it because I've told this story so many times. But basically we started to look into the records just kind of for fun. And we found a birth record of Louis and Jean, so the uncles. And we noticed that the mother's name on the birth record was listed as different than the record on like their social security records. She was either Suzanne Fabre or Suzanne Fontaine. And so we were like, that's a little interesting. So we started to look into that. And another thing that was a little bit weird is that we couldn't find the family in any census records. 1950 was the only census record we could find the family in. And we knew immigration was probably around 1905, 1904. So that was a little bit weird for that many to be missing, especially in that time period. And so we ended up looking in like just some newspapers, and we found a couple of hits for the Pope's grandfather, John Prevost, in the newspapers. He was a language teacher. And we also found a newspaper that stated that talked about a Prevost Rigatano School of Music. And that's kind of where we started getting a little bit of an idea, who is this Rigatano person? And we looked into him, and his World War I draft registration listed Giovanni Rigatano as having the same birth date as John Prevost. So we looked into that. We did a bunch of fan research. We spiraled down some rabbit holes, and we found an article in the Quincy Herald, I think is what it was called, that stated that Giovanni Rigatano had his wife was accusing him of having a relationship with Suzanne Fontaine. So that kind of cemented it for us. And then later the AR2, I believe, files came out, and that really confirmed. But we wrote a full proof statement in a day. So I'm really proud of that. That took a lot of work, a lot of time. Published it, and then we've been cited in a lot of new newspapers, including the New York Times. So we're really excited about that.
That's
congratulations.
That is so cool.
I never expect it. We didn't expect it. Like I said, it was just kind of a fun thing. In our chat, even we have a couple general channels, and people are just having fun and joking around, and they're like, "You should rename this chat to Popeology just for fun."
Popeology.
That's what we get our research in, is a channel called Popeology. So, yep. So it's exciting though.
It's very cool. So this page that I was scrolling down, I was trying to find the records you were referring to as you were talking about them, but I was failing miserably, except for the end when the newspaper article, which
yeah, it's a lot to digest. So I suggest you read our proof document if you haven't already.
The proof document is right here.
Yes.
On your discordgenealogy.com website. And
we also made the same day because we didn't have one to put it up on. So we're like, let's make this, let's do everything.
So there's a link to it there. I just put it there. But this other one, this is from GeniaNet. I published a blog post about it. Mystery solved. And anyways, at the top of your research document, it gives the credit for people, and there's your name right there. I recognize that. And then Frank Santoro, member of the Italy project, is there. Are there other WikiTreeers in this list that I should recognize?
Yeah, I think so. Katie Goodwin is a WikiTreeer.
I was wondering if Katie Goodwin was a WikiTreeer's.
I'm pretty sure most of these people on here have participated in a WikiTree to some degree.
Very cool.
I think Anna Beckwith, the first name on that, she was another captain of our team for the Connect-a-thon.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everyone on that list you've seen on WikiTree before. So,
isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yep.
WikiTreeers solving another brick wall. That's very, very, very cool. So, thank you for that, Haley, and thank you for explaining it so well to everyone here. And it's just another good reason why it was beneficial that you couldn't make it last week. So good work, Vicki, by not inviting her in time.
I feel much more interesting this week than I was last week. So
very cool. Very cool. Okay, so we do have a few other popes to get through, but none of them are going to be nearly that exciting, I'm afraid. But anyways, we have Benedetto Odescalchi. Who was born in, actually, I guess, Odescalchi, maybe, known as Blessed Pope Innocent XI, who was the savior of Hungary. Now, like a lot of these popes, their WikiTree profile is fairly slim, but many of them have the research know that the profile is being updated by the Pope's project. So I presume that if, in a little bit, we will come up when we come back to these, they'll be a little more fleshed out. But I had looked at one point the Wikipedia article, and he was credited with doing some work to help Hungary out and save them to free Hungary from the Turkish domination of Turkey. And so that's why he's widely referred to in the country as the savior of Hungary. Then we have Fabio Chigi. The CH makes it a hard C sound when you followed by an I. That's why I pronounced it Chigi and not Chigi, in case you're wondering. And he was born in Siena, in the Grand Duchy of Tuscany, in the Tuscany Hills. Of course, in 1599, Italy wasn't a country as we know it, because it didn't become a country until the later part of the 1800s. Born in 1599, passed away in 1667. He was the 237th Pope, known as Pope Alexander VII. So he was, let's see, and again, his is being updated as well. Guy de Bourgogne was born in 1065, so we're going way back. So, he's my granduncle, apparently. That's interesting. So it looks like, now I thought I turned off the WikiTree extension before we started, but I guess I didn't. That's okay. So it's showing me this stuff from the browser extension, which is helpful in this case. And so he's one of my great granduncles. So is he one of your great granduncles as well, John?
Yeah, 25th.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Son of Guillaume de Bourgogne and Etienne Barcelona, elected Pope and crowned, taking the name of Calixtus II. Calixtus. It's amazing that there's even more than one Calixtus. It's not a common name, but maybe it was back then. There we go. Moving on to Giovanni di Lorenzo Medici, another Pope Leo, from the very famous Medici family of Florence, Firenze, born in 1475 in December, passed away in December as well, but later, 45 years later, 1521, he was Leo X, notable Catholic Church Pope, of course. The Lorenzo the Magnificent. Thing. He was the last Pope not to have been in priestly orders at the time of his election. So he wasn't even a priest at the time. So it's, I mean, you assume that to be elected Pope, you have to be a cardinal, to be in the room, but that's not actually one of the requirements. It's technically not a requirement. So that's interesting. Moving on to Enea Silvio Bartolomeo Piccolomini, born in Corsignano in the Republic of Siena, again, 1405 to 1464. His father was also named Silvio, was a soldier. His mother was Vittoria Portogheri. They had 18 children, so he had lots of siblings there. He traveled to Scotland and England, and then he returned to the Papal States when he was ordained. And he was elected as part, he was made a cardinal by Calixtus III, and then elected Pope in 1458. Moving on, Barnaba Niccolo Maria Luigi Chiaramonti. Lots of getting practice speaking with a lot of Italian names this week, so that's great. And he was known as Pope Pius VII, born in Cesena. He joined the Benedictines. So a number of the popes are members of different religious orders. And in fact, that was one thing about our current Pope, Leo XIV. He was an Augustin Pope from the Society of St. Augustine. And in fact, I think he's our current Pope is the first Augustinian who was elected as Pope. And here we have a Benedictine from the Order of St. Benedict. He was elected Pope in 1800. he did some administrative stuff. He reorganized the Papal States. He signed an agreement with Napoleon. He went to Paris to consecrate Napoleon as an emperor of France, but the aggressions of that monarch caused the pontiff. I guess they didn't get along, so the Pope excommunicated Napoleon in 1809, and then he was taken and actually held in captivity. I guess Napoleon didn't like that very much, and so held him in captivity. He was then after the empire fell. Obviously, he got out of captivity, and then he actually offered asylum to Napoleon's family, which is interesting. So he didn't hold a grudge. If I'm reading this right, that's what it sounds like. Moving on, Francesco della Rovere, born. He was a Franciscan, so another different order. He was a Franciscan as a young man. Went to study philosophy and theology at the University of Pavia, and he was responsible for commissioning the building of the Sistine Chapel, and then creating the Vatican Archives.
Wow,
a huge thing that, like, you can't imagine the Vatican City without the Sistine Chapel, right? So he was the one that got the ball rolling on that. So, and the Vatican Archives, of course, an important place there for storing lots of stuff. Some stuff that maybe should be given back, but anyways, that's a different topic for another time. But 1414 is when that was commissioned. One of our more recent ones, Karol Joseph Wojtyła, born in 1920 in Wadowice, Polska, in Poland, obviously. Passed away in 2005, so 20 years ago now, the age of 84 in Rome. Pope John Paul II, Pope St. John Paul, in fact, because he was beatified and then declared a saint by, I think it was Pope Francis who declared him a saint. Anyways, many of us will know Pope John Paul II for many of our lives. At least some of the older, not the brand new one. Haley may not remember Pope John Paul II. Looking, I thought, oh, maybe Haley's too young.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's great to have. It's lovely to have young WikiTreeers joining us. So that's super. But anyways, he had. I think we've talked about his profile before, because I remember talking about the fact that growing up in Poland, he worked with the Jewish and the Christian communities. Would often play football or soccer, as in what we call it in North America, and would sub on the Jewish team if they were short, playing against his own Catholic team. So very cool. And then of course during the war there were some difficulties there, or challenges that he would have had to work through, and then became a pope. And then excellent profile. Baunen Eigensheim. Graf von Nordberg, Graf von Eigensheim. So a German pope, born in the Duchy of Swabia in the Holy Roman Empire, near Alsace. So I'm guessing Alsace-Lorraine. So that portion of land that keeps flipping back and forth from France to Germany is where he was from originally. Bishop of Toul. He was elected pope, taking the name of Leo the Ninth. So the interesting thing is he was made a pope. The emperor, now it doesn't say which emperor, but I guess it's the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, that emperor, the Holy Roman Emperor, basically said that this guy should be pope. And so he made his way towards Rome, wearing his pontifical habit, so his popely clothes. And he was met by the abbot of Clugnia and Hildebrand, who was a monk, who persuaded him that that's not the way popes should be chosen. It shouldn't be chosen by an emperor deciding this guy's going to be the pope. It should be chosen by the church and the people of Rome. And so he said, okay, I will give up my pope habits and I will just enter a private man coming into. So he basically humbled himself, saying he had chosen to obey the emperor rather than God, so he abased himself. But then they obviously elected him after all anyway, so he changed his name to Leo IX. So that's kind of an interesting tale that I hadn't heard about before. Then we have Matteo Barberini from Florence, another one from Florence, 1568 to 1644. And he was a famous patron of the arts. Caravaggio, Bernini, Poussin, all famous Italian artists of various sorts that he patronized, so helped them in their career. He was a legate to the court of Henry IV of France, Archbishop of Nazareth, interesting. And anyways, again, another one being updated by the Pope's Project. And then the last one is Gebhard Donstein Hirschberg, another German Pope, born way back, 1018 to 1057. Born about 1018 in the Swabia. So we've talked. There's someone else. The other German was from Swabia as well. Kingdom of Germany, Holy Roman Empire. He was made a bishop at 24. That's pretty young, I think. And then he accepted the papacy on the understanding that the emperor would restore all the possessions that that taken from the apostolic see. So I guess, okay, I'll be pope, but you have to give things back. You know, little bit of negotiation there. And that is all I have to say about that. In fact,
and I don't know if you saw, but John Tyner had said there are many very close connections between some of the popes. Yes. Yeah, right. That whole grid. That's so cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't show the grid this time, did I? I should.
Yeah, let's take a quick look.
Let's see if I can go to the grid, all degrees table. Oh yeah, look at that. Nine's 5 degrees between, I guess, oh no, that's and Bologna. That's interesting. That's a really close one. Let's see if we click on that. Yeah, just 5 away.
Wow.
The Pope's brother-in-law is basically the great uncle of the other Pope. Interesting. Very cool.
Huh.
Okay.
All right. So is it time for question of the week?
It is.
Oh yes, but we have a tip first. Oh, I'm sorry. It's about the Xing the path when you eliminate one person, and Patty says that when you reverse the view, it forgets that you X'd and start again.
So you have to X the person out again when you reverse it.
Yeah. Just that to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you, Patty. Let's see. We don't have any ancestors to celebrate, so there's 2 more Saturdays left in May. So more chances to find your favorite May ancestor connected, via birth, marriage, death. And we have the theme for May photos is children. We have D, snuck one in. It's a good thing I so let's look at that. Okay. So first, let me just say, this is a photo of my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and grandaunts and their children taken in the 1930s. So it's a really nice photo.
That is
so
nice.
Sweet. Yeah.
Oh, what a nice frame.
Yes. Oh,
Beautiful.
look, it's the studio provided it. It's always great when you have that information.
Oh.
Yeah. So the baby looks so excited. But lovely. Thank you so much, Dee. And just a reminder, with especially with children being the theme, we want to protect privacy. So if you're showing, if any of the children in the photo that you're showing are still living, you can't name them. Or I guess you could if you have their permission, but and no one who is currently under 25 should be shown. So anyway, hopefully we'll have some more old pictures of children to show. Children from long ago. So question of the week. Okay, I have my notes. Let me pull them up again. So what's the most unusual religious occupation you found in your family tree? And there were some answers that I would have expected. We had someone who was related to a saint. We had a fair number of missionaries, cardinals, parish clerk. We had an almoner, and we'll talk about what that is. And then, I don't know if I can do this justice. This is Yiddish, Sherkut. And we'll talk about that. So some medical missionaries, some really interesting surprises in this answer, in these answers. So let's see. Here is an example of our missionaries. I'll make this just a little bigger. Alexis Nelson said, my first cousin 3 times removed, Lewis Malin Bratchard, left Lakefield, Grayson County, Kentucky, with his wife and baby to be missionaries in Brazil in 1918. So their 3 sons were raised in Brazil, and they all continued in religious professions. So she found his passport application was terrific, because often a passport application will have a photo. And he was 4th generation Kentuckian. So this was unusual for him and his family to travel as far away as Brazil. Let's see. Who is this? Helen Ford. Her 4th great grandfather was a parish clerk for 50 years. Then his son stepped into the position. He was parish clerk for 30 plus years. And then it sounds like maybe his son-in-law. The son-in-law was also clerk of the parish. So it was very much a family business. And I thought this was interesting. In both parishes, the clerk was provided as a stipend with a patch of land large enough for a small flock of sheep. This role also entitled the man the right to vote, and it was a good job for a landless but literate agricultural laborer. So, and then she also notes that there were some organists. I thought of you right away, Greg.
There we go.
So able to use their skills as a music teacher, and so lots of tie-ins to religious occupations in Helen's family. Now here's the almoner. So this is E. Bain's 3rd cousin once removed, and this profession is a church officer in charge of distributing money to the deserving poor, or for delivering many pastoral functions exercised by pastors. So
when you said the word, I wasn't sure what the word was. So in my mind, I was spelling it Omener, and I was like omener, someone giving omens.
I was sort of eliding over the L. Okay. I'm thinking of alms, right?
Yes, that makes sense. Alms, give alms to the poor.
And then almor. Yes. It's a little awkward with the vowels.
It is, yeah.
So thank you, E. Okay, so Gail Connolly writes, I don't know how to spell the word in English or any other language, but charcutes. The CH is soft, more like a sh, and the K is a throat clearing sound. Okay,
Oh.
I've made my best attempts, so I'm sorry. He has a few ancestors and cousins with this profession. This is the person who performs the ritual killing of chickens by chopping their heads off. Then they run around headless until they bleed out. After that, they're prepared in the kosher way to become Sabbath dinner. Very, very interesting. I mean, of course, that was a very important role, and there would be a name for that. I didn't know until today what it was. And some oils. She said, you don't want to get me started describing that.
No.
Let's see. Who's this photo? Anonymous Wimble said some of his Irish relatives, not yet on WikiTree, but stay tuned, converted to not yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Converted to Quakerism in the mid 19th century, and let's see, they were in religious education. So it's a nice photo there, and this is a couple who went as Quaker missionaries to China in 1886, where they set up a mission and a school, which is still running today.
Nice.
He stayed in China until 1925. Oliver, we had some people living WikiTreeers has said, I have an interesting occupation related to religion. And so I did not know that Oliver is a Bible translator. He served with the Wycliffe Bible translators for 30 years, 20 of them in Tanzania, where his work permit reads missionary linguist. So he just finished the New Testament translated into Rangi, which is a language in Tanzania.
Really?
Fascinating.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then somebody else replied to him and said, another active WikiTreeer said, "Me too." Barbara worked for the same translating organization. So, thank you both for that. Let's see, lots and lots of good answers. I think 37 answers more than I could. We could go through all of them. Here's our first medical missionary, Reverend William James Hall. He was a medical missionary in, quote unquote, the slums of New York before he went to Pyongyang, Korea, to work as a medical missionary there. And apparently they wrote a book about him. Bill is working on their profiles. Let's see. This one we're actually going to look at the profile. This is from Rod Corkum, and he said nothing. The person that stood out to me was Dr. Alice Lucretia Ernst, his maternal second great aunt. And she was Canadian, but then came over to the United States, went to the Women's Medical College in Philadelphia, and then offered her services to the Women's Union's Missionary Society of America, setting sail for India in 1889. She served there for 42 years, retired at 70, and she returned to Pennsylvania, where she had two sisters. She was the only Canadian woman to receive the Kaiser I Hind Medal of the First Class from King George V of England in recognition of her services. And I'm pretty sure we had a photo of her on her. No, but there's some newspaper clippings and a nicely done biography. So very exemplary
So she was a missionary. Was she a nun as well, or no?
No,
Just
I
person,
don't
yeah.
think it
Okay.
looks like she was not married, but
Right.
I don't think she was a nun.
Hmm.
Not that I.
Yeah. I was wondering if, like, I was trying to read through and see if that was, but yeah.
Yeah, Ernst 1680. So thank you very much for sharing that. I've lost my notes. Okay, that was Rod. Thank you, Rod, for sharing that. And then we also had someone in the spiritualist church. This was Catherine Anstrom's great-great-grandmother. And I thought it was interesting. She appealed. She was arrested for illegal fortune. Well, all right, let me back up. Day job was as a trance medium, and she was arrested for illegal fortune telling in February of 1920. She appealed in 1922 based on the First Amendment grounds that the arrest was an infringement of her freedom of religion. Unfortunately, the judges did not agree, and they thought that she was trying to get them to rule spiritualism as a religion. So very, very, very interesting tie-in historically there. This might be it for the first page. Yep. And going to the second page, let's see. Oh, so William Thomas wrote that two of his cousins were among the original translators of the King James Bible. So that's and as well, King James.
King himself.
Pretty nice family tree you've got there.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and then over a dozen more of the King James Bible translators are connected to me by marriage. Very, very interesting. And then Brian Carpenter wrote to us that his grandfather, Edward Wynnard, was a traveling evangelist in England, 1901 to 1905. As a child, I was told he had a horse-drawn caravan and he played hymn tunes on a mandolin. His marriage certificate from 1905 even shows his occupation as evangelist. And after that, he trained as a Baptist minister. So we've got a picture of him and his wife. Yeah. So thank you, William. Or I'm sorry, Brian. And let's see, we had Jay Mancha wrote about, let's see, I don't know the relationship, but leader of a secret Protestant community in Bohemia during the Counter-Reformation in which the Habsburgs persecuted all non-Catholics. Apparently, he was an agent in a communication channel between several such communities over the period of 11 years. 1771 to 82. After toleration was enacted, his occupation was listed as cantor, a prayer, and a song leader. Church wardens and a sextant. That late-breaking answer. 20 minutes ago, Jay Briller. Thank you for that. So I don't know that we've had that question of the week before.
No.
It was certainly very interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. That's great. So I guess we'll just wrap up with what's happening around WikiTree.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, uncharacteristically, I'm actually prepared for that. It's easier when there's someone else who goes in between, so I can get myself organized, because
you have time.
Organized at the beginning, at the top of the hour. But if you check the G2G post, actually, if you just go into over here, if you go into G2G, you'll see the posts that are pinned at the top, including the quick way to get to the connection checkers game. Our next WikiTree challenge, which happens mid-June, we'll be researching for Diane Southard, and we already have 70 people signed up for it. So that's very exciting. So please join us for that. And then what's happening around WikiTree? That's what I've got right here. And so scroll down to mid-May. We're already mid-May. How's that happen? There, of course, is a weekend chat that's going on. Alabama Challenge has a Zoom meeting starting at 1 p.m. So we will stop, so you'll get there in plenty of time. Even have time for lunch. There's a Saturday sourcing sprint, as there often is. And then there's the regular things that are going on. Friday date night coming up this Friday. And then your new member is
next weekend, Sunday next weekend.
Yeah. And then the Monday after that will be but we'll talk about those next week.
Yeah.
But if you scroll down to the specific events, then it has the challenges for each of the month. Victor was looking for the post for the Celebrate Your Answers with a Connection to, and there's a link for that under the ongoing events.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it says Connection to, and it's blank, but if you scroll down to the ongoing event, you'll see the actual link.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
I know it.
And if you really want to plan in advance, July is when our next.
Oh, wow.
Never too soon to start planning who you're going to.
Never too soon. And there's that link to the Connection to. Okay. And the social media put together by, did Lisa do it this week? Can't remember who. Lisa Gervais often does this for us, or Azure. And there's a question of the week coming out. The one name study of this week will be Breen. And then we'll have a new Connection Checkers theme. Asiago Veneto in Italy is the one place study for Wednesday. The New Zealand project will be the focus for Thursday. And there'll be a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announcement on Friday. And there's our themes. The theme for photos is children. Celebrate Our Answers from May. And where's the profile makeover? The theme was water, right? Or the sea.
The sea. The sea.
And then Chris Fariolo does a blog and keeps us updated on that stuff. So that's what's going on. That's what's happening. And I'd like to thank our special guests who joined us, John and Haley again.
So nice to have you.
Thank you.
Great having you here. And thanks again for all the work that you and your group did. And all of the other WikiTreeers that joined Haley and with the Genealogy Discord.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's kind of hard to differentiate it between different groups. That's why I said it wasn't WikiTree, it was another server, but yeah, that's what we're called. So
yeah.
Very cool.
And now we know why she's in the Discord detectives.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Great detective work. So, what mystery are you working on this week?
Oh, that's a good question. I had posted on our server. I'm like, I'm gonna get back to clustering. I have a Southern Baptist brick wall I need to do, and I'm working on it with some DNA because there's no records for this lady. I just don't have her maiden name. I don't have anything about her family, so DNA is my go-to option on that. So that's what I'll be working on. So
sounds cool.
Wow, so fun.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
And John, thank you for all your hard work and for all your family's work. Say thank you to.
They're happy to help. I will. I'll give them a big hug for you.
Wow.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
you go.
And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And thanks for everyone who's stuck around for the whole broadcast, and those who are watching after the fact. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and we'll see you here next weekend.
Yes.
Right.
Great.
See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Good weekend.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye.